I'm Tonya Harris, Superintendent of Itasca ISD. Welcome to this edition of Cat Chat. So today's Cat Chat's going to be a little different than some of the Cat Chats that we've aired before. Today we are meeting with Middle School Principal Stephanie Rieper, and we're going to talk about some of the great things going on at Itasca Middle School and some of the ways that parents can help partner with Itasca Middle School to ensure their students' success. So, Ms. Rieper, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. So talk to us a little bit about what's going on at Itasca Middle School, some of the great things that you're experiencing.
Well, we are doing all kinds of fun stuff at the middle school. We've had some new classes that we've introduced this year. We have general employability skills, which all 7th graders are taking that course. And I have students that are learning, I was just in that classroom actually yesterday, and I have students that are learning how to simulate a forest fire and how to dig trenches in the correct place and to stop the fire in the correct way, or to set up a command station for an emergency operation such as that. Our math classes are going strong. I had probably about 15 kids yesterday that stayed for tutoring just for math after school, which is huge. They're in there learning, they're working on their IXL, they're trying to just grow and improve, so they're very involved. All of our core classes are working really hard. We have theater this year. They're working on some fun field trips and things like that. We have AVID, where our 8th grade students are learning how to take notes and how to do peer tutoring and just be more organized. And I think it's really making a difference on our campus. Plus, if you ever visit my campus, you will see all of the fun art stuff that is happening. Our trophy case is filled with art that our students have done, and we are really proud, and just it's fun to watch those change. Right now they have cake sculptures that they've been making, so those are fun to look at. And so yeah, we're just having a great time at Itasca Middle School.
Sounds like some great things going on this year. So the general employability 7th graders,
yes ma'am,
and they get to take career tracks and look at different career pathways. How many pathways do you have right now?
We have 12 different stations that they are allowed to go to. They are in pairs, so they have partners, and they stay on that station for about 2 to 3 weeks, and they work. So we have veterinary medicine. They've learned how to draw blood. They've learned how to do CPR on a dog. They have a dog dummy, a CPR dummy. We have an engineering one that yesterday there was a couple of students that were on engineering, and they were learning to design and go through the design process, and then pretty soon they're going to start building. Right now they're working on a challenge to learn how to balance a textbook on top of paper and only on paper. And it has to be a certain number of inches off the table and to balance, so they're using engineering skills to do that. We have health science. We think of all of them. Health science, we have sports medicine, we have marketing and design, we have child development, we have home maintenance, where they learn how to take care of all those things at home that you don't learn until you own a home, and then you realize you have to learn how to spackle and install a doorknob and all those things. We have the plumbing, we have the emergency management and fire science, we have environment and ecology, where they're learning about plants and pH balance of soil. We have a new one that we are just starting. Next week will be the first time students get to start that one. That is small engine repair. Wonderful. And alternative energy sources. So it draws in the like solar farm type situations and other alternative energy sources. And then we have a teaching, intro to teaching section. So
wonderful. So these pathways, these career explorations that students get to experience in 7th grade, that stems into principal's classes in 8th grade, is that correct? And yes, then ultimately on into high school, where they can choose a career pathway.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My 8th graders, our 8th graders get to choose a CTE course, and so they get to take a high school course as an 8th grader. So next year, those 8th graders will have had the opportunity to explore those courses prior to. And up until now, they haven't really had that experience. So they will get to choose a CTE course from our high school pathways and then follow that course throughout their high school career and hopefully get a certification in that field before they graduate high school.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Great things going on at Itasca ISD Middle School. We really do appreciate all your hard work and the hard work of your staff. So talk to me a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced, or maybe some of the ways that parents can partner with you. Specifically, let's talk about attendance and the value of attendance. A lot of people don't realize how important attendance is.
Well, attendance is crucial to the success of any student's learning. Things change a lot when students go from elementary to secondary at the middle school level as far as attendance and counting attendance. And I don't know that a lot of parents understand that change. So when they get to a secondary class or secondary level, like at the middle school, then attendance starts counting toward whether or not they receive credit for that grade level. So the law says they have to be there for 90%, which means if they miss more than 9 absences a semester, they could potentially be held back for that grade. We would not want any student held back.
Absolutely not.
But the way the law reads, it counts pretty much every absence. I think about the only thing that doesn't count is court-appointed or court-required absences. So even those absences where mom sends a note and says, that their child was running a high fever and they were sick with the flu or whatever, those still count as far as that 90% rule. So we've got to be careful about that. But even more importantly, and I have a little graphic, I think they're gonna break to that. But if you're a parent and you've been on our Facebook page, you've probably seen this graphic. Looks kind of like this. But it talks about how it breaks it down. If you miss 2 days a month, the student misses 2 days a month, that's 20 days in a school year. By the time that school year ends, they've missed 16 hours of those core classes, 16 hours of math that they've missed, 16 hours of English that they've missed, 16 hours of science, social studies, or any of those other classes, band, they've missed 16 hours if they just miss 2 days a month. If that continues throughout their career, by the time they get to high school, they've missed an entire year of education. That impacts their learning, that impacts their growth. You can't get better, you can't grow, and you can't learn if you're not, at school. Now, we did have a week here recently where the flu hit us pretty hard, and we had lots of student absences, lots of even employee absences. I myself had the flu, so that was not fun. But if they are not, sick with the flu or sick, if there's any possible way that they can be at school, we need students at school. They need to be at school because they need that learning time. Two times a month doesn't seem like much, but that's a whole year of education that you're losing out on.
So just to recap, the state of Texas only their excused absences are really only for court-ordered excused absences. Itasca ISD will excuse the absence with a doctor's note, but the work still needs to be made up, and it doesn't help with that 90% rule. So I appreciate you kind of sharing that, and we'll definitely make sure that graphic gets up, because again, that learning loss, we see that every day with students that have excessive absences. If you're teaching a new concept in math, perhaps, and a student is absent on that day, then they'll have to go back and regain that knowledge to move forward.
Right.
Well, I appreciate that. So let's take it to another level. I know some parents are concerned about homework and having to, go home and work for an hour or two on math or reading. So talk to me a little bit about your homework and what your teachers are sending home with our students and how that's impacting student learning on your campus.
Right. We've worked really hard in the last couple of years to ensure that all of our assignments, all of our instruction, things in the classroom and out of the classroom are applicable to the learning skill that we're trying to get across, that we're trying to practice. We don't believe in busy work at Itasca Middle School. My teachers, the teachers on our team, they're amazing. We have really great teachers. They're so good. They work really hard, and they try to make sure that all of their assignments or their assessments or anything that they do leads back to that learning objective that we're trying to get across. So when homework is sent home, it is applicable to what they are learning. It goes along with it. To you, it may look like just some vocabulary words, but even in that general employabilities class, there are vocabulary words that those kids have to learn and they have to test out on and understand what these things are prior to even being able to touch the lab, prior to ever even being able to do the CPR on the dog, because if they don't understand what they're going to be doing, they shouldn't be jumping into that fun stuff, and so there's prerequisite stuff. We have IXL this year. That has been very instrumental in our math class. That gives them practice, gives them chances to work. You don't learn how to do math just when you're born. People aren't just born knowing algebra or pre-algebra or fractions. You're not born knowing all of the literature, poetry, things like that for English or social studies or science. You have to practice to get better. And our goal is to grow and to improve. Our goal is always to be better tomorrow than we are today. And we can't do that if we don't ever practice. Just like an athlete or a musician or a dancer, you just don't walk into this dance studio and expect to know the dance. You have to practice it. Just like, band, they have to practice that instrument, or you can tell when the whole band plays and one person has never practiced that song. It's pretty obvious whenever they pick up the tuba or the trumpet or the French horn and they can't hit the notes because they've never practiced that instrument. So our instrument is our mind, and our kids are practicing that every single time they bring home homework, every single time they do work in the classroom. We have tutoring on Tuesday, Thursday evenings. Like I said, we have 2 teachers right now, and if we need more teachers, I will get more teachers there. But we have kids that stay for tutoring every Tuesday and Thursday night. We also have tutoring during our advisory, our accelerated instruction period, every Tuesday and Thursday as well during the school day. So if they can't stay after school because they don't have a ride, they can do it during the school time then too.
Oh, wonderful. So I appreciate that opportunity for students to be successful and to get that extra support during tutoring time, especially for those kiddos that may not have, parents get home from work and they're busy and with dinner and all the things that are going on. Having that extra layer of support at school to help with homework is greatly appreciated. So let's talk about something that a lot of people don't understand and a lot of people don't like, testing. So let's talk about interim testing and STAR testing and how that impacts the middle school campus and what is the value in that to our students.
Okay, well, we did just finish the second round of interim testing. Testing is something that a lot of, what I believe a lot of the general public probably doesn't understand. And those that do understand, like you said, maybe don't like it, but it is our reality. I want to say first and foremost, our kids are so smart. Our kids are so smart. They're so capable. I want the world to know what they're capable of doing. And interim testing gives us a chance as educators at Itasca Middle School to see kind of where they stand, how our instruction has impacted them, what areas we need to work on, whether there's specific skills that they might need before they take that STAR test later. Just like a scrimmage for football gives those football coaches a chance to see where their team needs to work and where their team needs to improve. That's what the interim testing is for us. We use that as like a scrimmage. It's like a practice, and we get to see those scores, and we get to use those scores to inform how we change the instruction moving forward. No, I do not believe that one single test ever defines a student specifically. However, those tests do spread out to the whole world in Texas and the general public of how great our kids are. And that's what we want to do. We want to show off how amazing they are. We want to show off their abilities and how much they've grown. I've said it several times. Our goal is to grow every single day. We want to be better than we were before. And so our goal this year is to show growth on every single one of those. And our teachers talk about that in every one of their classes about you need to show growth. Mm-hmm. And so they talk about that. And it's just really important that our students, take it seriously and do their best, because, you don't sign up for a race hoping to get last place. And you just want to do better than you did the last time you raced. And my daughter was a swimmer. Every time she raced, it's not really a team sport for her. It was an individual sport, but she wanted to have a better time than she had the meet before. And that's really how these tests should be, approached. We want to do better every single time. And I want the world to see how amazing Itasca Middle School is. And that is one way that a lot of people use to judge the school. And so if we can put it, we can show them, because they're so smart, they're so capable. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do this year.
So our kids are smart in Itasca, and I think that where I agree, one test does not define a student. It's what the measure is from the state, and it is that accountability rating that shows student growth, and it's all based on student growth. And so it is the measure that we have. And what better way to show our community what our students are capable of? So it's real important that our families take it seriously, our parents take it seriously, and our students take it seriously. Let's show that growth, and let's show how incredible our students are. So what can we do as parents to help partner with Itasca Middle School to ensure not only that growth that you've talked a lot about, but just success overall for our students at Itasca Middle School and for Itasca Middle School as a whole?
Well, obviously, it's great if our students get good night's sleep every single night. That's not necessarily always possible. Students are very involved, especially here in Itasca. And I understand that completely. But especially on big nights, the night before big tests like these, please make sure they get a good night's sleep. Please make sure that their bellies are full for a good dinner. And just like before a big game, like I said, my daughters, they would eat pasta before the big game the night before, to prepare. So let's prepare. Let's plan ahead. Let's feed them a great breakfast. They get free breakfast when they get here, and we make sure that our students, usually in the past, our testing coordinator has always ordered breakfast from a local place. Sometimes they have, sausage biscuits or something like that, but the kids get breakfast. And so we make sure they get a good breakfast. They just need to, go to bed at a good time and just hype them up a little bit. They're good. They're going to be good at this. They are working hard at connecting their learning to the world, at connecting the learning to their life. And I think that makes a huge difference when we go to these tests and things like that. A lot of the questions are based on life situations and things like that. And so I think they'll do better if they understand that what I learn in math applies to my life and, applies to my future. And so one of the things we've started, and I would really encourage parents to do, is we started in every single class. There are 2 questions at the front of the room of every single classroom at Itasca Middle School. And one of them is, why do you think we're learning this today? And the other one is how do you think this applies to your life or to your future in general? And every single lesson, teachers are encouraged. Sometimes they forget, but most of the time, even when they forget, the kids will ask it now because it's kind of a habit. But teachers are encouraged to ask those 2 questions to their students, and the answers are so amazing. These kids think outside the box. It's just really fun to hear their answers. But as a parent, don't just ask your kid how their day was, because they're teenagers. All they're going to do is shrug their shoulders and say, it was good, because that's what teenagers do. But ask them specifically, what are y'all doing in math today? What y'all do in math? Or what about social studies? What are y'all learning about in social studies right now? And then when they tell you, ask them, well, why do you think you're learning that? How does that apply to your future? Like, why would they teach you about that right now? Why do you need to know about angles in math?
So we're extending that process that you've already adopted in the classroom. Extend that to the home.
Yes, absolutely. And I think if they see that it's important to you, that they've connected that learning to life, that makes it even more important to them. They may not always voice it to you because, again, they're teenagers, but that connection is big to them.
Wonderful. Well, I do appreciate you joining us today on this edition of Cat Chat. So if parents want to know how they can get involved or help their student more or help Itasca Middle School more, they can reach out to you at the campus or via your email and learn more about Itasca Middle School.
Yes,
so
please do.
That's all we have today. We appreciate you listening to this short video. And again, we appreciate you partnering with us to ensure your students' growth here at Itasca ISD and Itasca Middle School. That's all for now. Go Cats!
Go Cats!